cover it? Or do we look at this? Or?
No, I mean, it's not a news broadcast, so we don't have to look into the camera. I mean, you can't look into the camera.
I won't look at it.
You've already ruined my podcast. This is horrendous. Hello, mate.
Hey, yeah.
How's it going? This is new. This is weird.
This is very new.
Yeah.
I can
Don't know
hear
what to
you
say.
so clean and crisp.
Haven't prepared anything. How long have we known each other? We were just talking about that.
I think it's got to be like 10 years.
When do you remember meeting me?
I definitely remember Mus because of the battle in Angel.
Angel.
Oh my god, why can't I remember? Arc. Frankie was battling in Arc, so I came
Funk
up
Trap.
with him. Funk Trap 2009, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure.
Is that when Breaks and Boogie were in the final?
Yeah. And Mus was stood near me, and I remember him like giving hype. Like I just remembering him.
some
so
bearded guy.
So I most likely remember, or like would have met you there too.
True.
Yeah,
so it's been about 10 years.
And then it'd be like every 2 or 3 weeks we'd come up to London after that.
So you weren't living in London at this time?
No, that was 2009 or 10, and I moved in 2012. Fair
enough. So who are you? For people that don't know, how would you describe yourself? What's your your roundup of who Kieran is as an artist today?
Oh damn, that's a very. Right, let me get my book out.
Yeah.
So most people know me currently because of Litefeet, because that's the new sort of thing. It's trendy and it's sort of going viral. Otherwise, I'd say I'm a street dancer, battler, judge, teacher, etc. I also produce events and workshop tours. And then on the side of that, I also have a circus and hip-hop theatre company.
Okay, so you see the circus thing as more of a side hustle?
Right now, yeah. Like, it was more 50-50. But, like, really this past year, or even 2 years, it's gone really, like, 80%, 20%. Just sort of depends. Each month's different. Like, there are some months where it's going to be fully circus, but then compared to the rest of the year, it's still majorly dance. Okay.
And when we say circus, what do you mean by that? Because whenever I first heard you saying you went to circus school, I was like, are you juggling like on a unicycle with a clown's nose on? Like, I didn't understand what it was. So
I mean, I've definitely tried a unicycle and juggled and put a clown nose on in the school. But like, yeah, it's not anything to do with how you picture circus growing up. It's a contemporary circus school, so how we picture circus is traditional circus. Okay. But within the sort of contemporary circus world, it's very much more sort of how hip hop theatre is. It can be traditional, or it can be completely different, or it can use sort of technology, or So I was. Is that kind of like Cirque du Soleil and stuff? Is that more like contemporary? No, I would say Cirque du Soleil is more like Disney. You know how as a dancer everyone thinks, oh, you're gonna
more into the.
As a dancer, everyone thinks we're going to be doing backing dance in the music videos. Yeah. And then they'll be like, oh, you could work for Disney, or you go and do this and that. It's sort of like that in circus. Like, people go and do their own artistic things, or you could go and work for a Cirque du Soleil, which obviously is a dope-ass gig to have on your CV, but it's more like, well, I mean, some people get a lot of artistic say, but yeah, it's more of a, you're doing this show now and it's like this. And I've heard mixed things, like, I've never been in Soleil, and I've heard people that have loved it, and I've heard people that hated it. But yeah, it's different to what I do. So I spin around in a wheel called a seal wheel, and in this course we do a range of different things, but that's what I specialized in. I also juggle in our company, and then we mix it with dance as well. Cool. And yeah, I don't know if I had any more questions about that. Don't think so. But yeah, I mean, we've done a few projects together, so now I've like getting a bit of an idea of it. But yeah, like at first I didn't know what the hell you meant by circus. Well, but the thing I didn't understand was like, I didn't think circus was like an industry really, which it sounds kind of ignorant, but like, yeah, because it's not in my face a lot, I'm like, but like in my head I was like, are you traveling around the country with a big tent, like you know what I mean, with like animals in cages and shit? I was like, I don't know. What that is. Yeah, exactly the same. Because do you want to move this, by the way, so that you can like look at my beautiful face? Yeah. Oh, look nice. At us. So I was training in Swindon. Yeah. And it was only because two friends went to the circus school before me.
Okay.
And they were like, nah, you need to come check it out, come have a look, even just for a weekend. And I was pretty rude. I was like, nah, like, fuck circus. Why would I be a clown? Like, I want to dance. Yeah. I'm going to go do this or do that. And I had more in mind the contemporary schools.
Right.
And then a year later, I finally visited them, saw the school, and was just like,
which, what's the school?
It was called Circus Space. It changed to the National Centre for Circus Arts in Shoreditch. And it's part of the conservatoire as well. So it is still linked with London Contemporary, Rambert, Northern, all those. So, yeah, same sort of degree level, but just in circus. And
do you, because like the way you explained yourself is that you're more of a dancer and a Litefeet dancer, and a circus is on the side. But is that reflective of like where you're making your money? Is the circus thing more like that, or is the circus thing supporting your battle career or whatever?
I mean, again, like it supported more when I did it more. Like in the sense of the odd dance gig pays less than the odd circus gig.
Okay.
But then some of the dance gigs I do, obviously I get more and things. The circus is more longevity. Like we create a show which then we'll get paid for the process of that during R&D. Then we'll go and perform it where we get paid again. And so like these blocks of it, obviously it's nice money, but at the same time then behind the scenes is all the admin or trying to do this, YouTube, social media, etc. So yeah, I think in a sense it's more the dance.
Okay, yeah, because I think what a lot of people like see is like a lot of people doing battles, and that's more the thing that they'll promote and push online. But then we all kind of are like, but how are they making their money? Because battle, unless you're winning loads of battles, you're not paying your rent off just that.
Yeah.
Or like unless you're like one of the top 1% or something that's flying around, it's not often that you're making enough to do that. So is it more like you kind of supplement things here and there and it all ties together?
Like I was pretty lucky. So the course is in London. I'm from Bristol, so that's why I moved to London. Okay. So my student loan meant I could live here.
Right.
Then I could get everywhere and train, etc. I was lucky in the sense that as I started the degree, during my second year was when I was getting invited as guests to places and then winning more events, and then I was getting more money for that, and I was teaching.
Right.
In my final year and the year I graduated, I was teaching and judging more, and like I'd done well in our scene enough to be able to work a lot more in it than I did at the time when I started the course.
Right.
So like before I had a job and things like that, moved to London, and it was a sort of transition between student loan, but now I'm actually making money through the dance. So then once I'd finished studying, I just carried on making what I was in dance, and yeah, it's just been lucky it was enough. Then the odd sort of circus gigs sort of helped. Okay, I can subsidize this, I can do this, or I want to take this trip. So like, for instance, when I first went to New York, it was like, cool, I've got this money, I can do this now.
All right, fair enough. Cool. Yeah, that's interesting. One thing that like I wanted to talk to you about, which I mentioned to you before, was like that you went through a period of like losing quite a lot of weight. Where was that in this journey?
So it was before dance. So like, normally when people ask like when I started dance, for me it was 16 was when I sort of became a dancer. Like my mum has always been boy band heavy, like Take That, Boyzone, all of this. So that was always on in the house. So I'd always dance to it, and I love Michael Jackson. But like just like any kid, really, nothing like I'm gonna be a dancer.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be like a rapper or a vet and things like that more than dance. Like I didn't even think of that. But yeah, 16 was when I sort of dance wise. So yeah, before, I think 14, 15, like just before.
So were you always kind of like a bit heavier as a kid?
Yeah, I was always like a chubby kid. Well, I say like always, I say junior school upwards.
Right.
Then into senior school as well. And it didn't help that I was like one of the short ones as well. So obviously it looks worse.
Right.
And then, just got to a point of being like, all right, I need to do something. And my mum, what made
you say you need to do something?
Just like looking at friends and things like this. Like I wasn't happy with how I looked, and I was really enjoying basketball and rugby, and yet like I need to get fitter. Okay, like you can kind of get away with it in rugby because the weight can help in a sense, but like really now I would need to be fitter. Generally, I say that most overweight kids is from the family. Like you look at the parents and it's the same. So like my parents were overweight, and then the things they would feed me, when I look back now, it's like, of course, like we ate a lot of crap, and then like I would see my mum snacking on chocolate or crisps, and I wanted to snack on chocolate and crisps, so like it made sense. Like I just followed suit. So then Slimming World, bit like Weight Watchers, like I started going to one of those with my mum weekly.
So it was like a conscious decision at one point of like, right now I'm starting to lose weight.
I mean, there was other times like my mum would go through diet stuff, so she'd be like making healthier food, or usually it was my stepdad making food, and then at one point it was like, nah, I want to do this. So I went to Slimming World with her weekly.
Okay, and just for context, like what's, if you don't mind saying, like what sort of weight were you at this point?
What's where I was trying to think of it earlier, like
or were you more concentrating on like how it looked?
Yeah, it was more how I looked. Like I feel like 12, 13 stone.
Okay. At like what age?
14, 15. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Like I may be wrong.
But that's quite a like big decision for someone who's like 14 to be like, I'm about to like change my whole lifestyle. I guess it's fucking hard for me now. Like
yeah. Yeah, like I can't really think of exactly why, but like it was just one of those things. Just like
got to a point. Yeah. Okay.
And then the thing at Slimming World, I'm an Aries. I'm quite competitive. Each week, like you see how much you've lost, and you're trying to lose the most out of the group and things like that. And obviously, being a kid, I was being a lot more physical than the rest of the people in the group anyway. So like, I would usually be like one of the better like losers, or just that sort of thing just kept me going. Just being able to see it each week.
And did that, like, after you stopped doing that, how have you, well, actually what I was going to ask you is about is that at all related to your thing of being vegan? Was that to do with the weight loss, or that was just a separate decision?
So that was much later. It did change my habits, because for instance during Slimming World, like there's some tips they give, like one of them was like to stop buttering bread. Okay. Seems really random, but like, not that I made many sandwiches as a kid myself, but like I stopped doing that. So if I did make a sandwich or I did have toast, it would just be jam, not butter and jam, or like things like that, or just like ham, lettuce, tomato, rather than butter, ham, lettuce. And also eating crisps.
Yeah.
I stopped eating crisps as well. Like even now, like I don't really like, whenever someone's like, oh, do you want a crisp? Like I've never really been into that. Like at Christmas, I'll eat Twiglets with the family, or nachos if I'm at like a Mexican place, but I don't really buy crisps in that sense anymore. Okay. And I guess that's all from then.
Right. So, but once the competition aspect wasn't there anymore, did you find it hard to like have a reason to think, or were you like?
Well, after it, like I feel like I was never slim. Like even after I'd lost weight, like I was just like a normal. Like, and I've never been like that athletic. I was always kind of stocky. Like that's why like rugby was cool and things like that, but I was never like, right, now you're slim, cool, you're done. Like,
right.
So even
do you still feel like that now?
Yeah. Okay. Like even after I finished, like I never felt like, right, you're in a good shape. I just felt like, right, I'm better than where I was, and I'm just gonna be
like, I'm kind of happy with where I am now, and not. But so is there stuff that you still find it hard to like manage those impulses now, or did the kind of competition, when you went through that competitive side of like, okay, I'm going to lose the weight and blah, blah, did those habits stay with you after, and you didn't need to kind of concentrate on them?
Yeah, I guess it's all difficult, because I say like, I then started dance.
Right.
So
you were working out a lot more.
I was less wary, after I finished, I was less wary about the food anyway. So I did go back to eating some crap. And my first actual job at 16 was in McDonald's, where every break they give you McDonald's food. So, but at that same time, I started dancing, and again, like from there, then circus school, and so my life became a lot more active anyway.
Right. Okay. And then you were saying to me the other day about like that you got injured, and that didn't help. So how is that?
Yeah. So like I feel like
well, first of all, what did you do? How did you get injured? I don't think I even know this.
I don't even really know what happened.
Okay.
It was like, so this month is 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Getting ready for that Just Taboo.
Yeah.
And woke up the next day during like after a training session, and my hamstring was just giving a bit of pain, and I thought I just pulled a muscle. Then it was like Just Taboo UK's this week, and my boy from Poland had come over, and it was like,
who's that?
Piotr.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, we have to do it. Like, I'm not going to pull out now. He's come all this way. and then danced on it. Still didn't feel great. Like went out for food during the day and was like, nah, like it's not good. But like, a week and a half after, I had a circus show in Scotland. So I tried to like chill that week and then just rehearse, and it was like bending down to pick up juggling balls was killing me and stuff like this. And I was like, nah,
hamstring.
Yeah, and it felt just a bit worse than like a normal sort of pull.
Yeah.
So a couple of friends who were physios, like different occasions, both had said like, oh, it sounds like this thing, because one of the problems I was getting was if I would sit down for long periods and my leg would bend, it would sort of seize up. Like I wouldn't feel it at the time, but as soon as I would try and stand up or straighten the leg, I would just get like real bad pain.
Okay. And
so like long car journeys, trains, planes, like all were hell. And yeah, like a second occasion, we're at dinner at a friend's house, Alex Ferrelli.
Yeah.
And got up to go to the bathroom and was like, ugh. And his fiance, who's a physio, was like, oh, that's your hamstring. It sounds like this.
That doesn't seem normal.
Yeah. And then she was like, oh, does it do this? Does it do this? Oh, this? And she was like, oh, it sounds like this. And I was like, my friend actually said the same, a tendinopathy.
Okay.
Which
I said that like I was gonna know what the fuck.
Yeah, so like most people are afraid of tendinitis, and it's like
right.
sort of similar, like in terms of it's a tendon problem, and you need to strengthen it, and it's weak, and this and that. But yeah, from there, like different. Basically, I was getting physio exercises, and I saw another physio. Felt a bit of progress for a while, but I still had gigs to do, and we had KOD coming up and stuff, and then yeah, like. Oh, so we were talking about weight. So at that time, I was like, oh, fuck it. I feel sorry for myself. I'm just going to eat ice cream and shit, and I'll be good in it.
Right.
Because I was running regularly. So then I was like, it'll be fine. Like, when it's good, I'll just run this all off. And then it didn't get good.
So it was more of like a feeling sorry for yourself thing than a like the exercise was doing the work.
Yeah.
Right.
So like I just ate more shit than I would have. And then obviously wasn't doing the work I would be doing.
Right.
And then I saw an osteopath who was like, nah, it's not this, it's your back. You can't run, you can't jump, you can't do this. And I was like, this thing here, watch this video, this is Litefeet, this is what I do. She's like, right, if you're going to do that, you can't do anything else. If you need to teach it, you can, but try not to do this. So I stopped battling and I stopped training and was just doing the bare minimum. And again, like still like little improvement, but it was still there. Then she suggested I got X-ray and MRI, so I went to the hospital, their route. They disagreed again, and it was just like there's never really been a set answer of like this is what it was, but it's just
like could be.
Yeah. But the hospital had signed me up with a clinic in Central, which is meant for athletes and dancers.
Okay. And
I've been seeing them like every 6 weeks, and in September,
even to now,
September just gone. Yeah. They just gave me the all clear and said like, oh shit. As long as you keep this up, your progression should keep up. And yeah, like I don't get the pain. I can sit now. It's just stretching. The pain comes on. Like you get pain when you stretch anyway, but like whatever this hamstring pain is, it comes on when I stretch. And so from then I've started running again and this and that. And I had to go in again last month just for them to do a last sort of check to make sure nothing's come back. And yeah, so I don't actually know exactly what it was, but my hamstring was just a bit messed up. And then in that period, I feel like, I definitely put on weight, like not to how I used to be. Like I feel like I'm cool, and most people wouldn't say like, oh, he's overweight. But
yeah, I wouldn't have noticed.
But I know it in myself,
yeah.
Especially after just graduating Circus school, which is like assault course, like proper, right. We're just.
So for you, is it more like you feel it in your athleticism rather than like when you look in the mirror kind of thing, or is it both?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, like I definitely feel it, but yeah, also I can see it in me. Although, like, it's a slow process. Your friends in front of you might not notice.
Yeah, I have that all the time. So
yeah,
but yeah, all right, cool, fair enough. And how much do you find that's like affected, like your dance and stuff like that now? Like, do you feel like you're still on the comeback with dance wise?
Definitely, because you've known me my whole hip hop career, like before we met when I was popping. In 2014. I sprained my ankle during Circus, and during that period, where like 8 weeks I couldn't be on it, I started just playing loads on the floor, and then when I came back, that was when I started doing good and winning battles and stuff, and I was doing loads of floor work, and then so I was then mixing a lot of my circus acrobatic,
I think I remember that
jumps
period,
and tricks and rolls and stuff into my dance. So basically, like, since this injury, so like 2 years, I just haven't been doing any of that stuff. So all like this big rolls and things, like one of my sort of blow ups.
Good point, actually. Yeah.
And like playing on the floor, because I can go on the floor, but like as soon as I put my legs over my head, that pain kicks in again, and it's like, I just sort of get stuck. So in my own time, I play on the floor much more now, but like in battles, I just do what I know is safe.
I feel like, but do you think you'd be a bit more like using that stuff still with Litefeet?
Yeah,
because I think maybe me watching you, I've like associated it with like Litefeet doesn't lend itself to that. So the more you've done Litefeet, the less you've done these.
Like, so the first international Litefeet championship, if you look back on the footage, like I'm doing like the acrobatic stuff in it. Like in Litefeet, they mix everything into it anyway. Like they can be really acrobatic. So yeah, I was mixing all of my stuff into it at that time, and it was like after that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about Litefeet then. So for someone that doesn't, I'm saying for someone that doesn't know what it is, I wouldn't proclaim to be an expert about it. I'm just maybe more around it than the average person. But so how would you describe it to someone that doesn't know or might be listening and doesn't know?
So Litefeet for me is the next evolution in hip hop dance.
Okay.
So it follows hip hop dance basics, as in like bounce, rock, grooves, but then it has its own specific rules and concepts that it plays with as well.
And it's, how recent would you say?
2005, 2006, like the name Litefeet.
Okay.
Bits were being formed before that, and its bases like the Spank and Harlem Shake all came in the 90s. But yes, since Litefeet or Getting Light, 2005.
Okay. So when was like Chicken Noodle Soup and stuff like that? Because I remember doing that when I was like a kid. Like we would do it because we thought it was like, you know, like the dances from different songs and stuff. We did it like that in parties.
So that's the mad thing with me, because before I knew what hip hop dance was, like I was first learning this stuff and waving on YouTube, and then I came across Chicken Noodle Soup, Harlem Shake, Two Step, like DJ Unk and Soulja Boy and stuff. Like they're not Litefeet, but like all of these things were all around the same time.
Okay,
so,
like Walk It Out and
exactly.
Right.
So I remember learning all these dances before I knew there was a genre called hip hop.
Yeah, like legit. Like I remember when I was, I mean, I must have been 16 to 18 or something like that. But like, I knew these type of things before I knew like fucking any of the like Running Man or any of these like old school hip hop stuff.
So yes, it's the same for me. And then there's one specific called the 5Gs.
Okay.
And then so later on, then I meet Crybaby and the guys, and they're in these music videos, and Cry has a verse on the 5Gs, and it's just
mad,
so
you had heard that when you were a kid and didn't know,
and now I'm hear it, and like
Sick.
I know the words like it's Crybaby goes. And I'm just like, oh my god, like how has it gone?
That's cool.
Yeah.
So how did so like in between that, what happened? So like how did you then discover it as a style and then start wanting to do it? Because you were already dancing at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go back a bit. So like we met, I was a popper.
Yeah.
At Swindon Dance, we trained a range of different styles. So like weekly.
Swindon Dance was the program that you were in.
Yes.
After or before the Circus thing?
Before.
Okay, so
2010 to 2012.
You did the Swindon learning dance, hip hop. Then you went to Circus school. Then you kind of went into the industry.
Yeah.
Got you. All right.
I was already, so first Frankie was like my first legit teacher, teaching me popping. Then
that's how you know you're old school, if you remember Frankie J as a popper.
Yeah. Legit, like it's funny, like internationally there'd be some friends that remember like when I would be battling IB as a popper, and like and then there's people back here like who might see me do the odd pop in like a cypher, and they're like, oh, you're getting into popping, and I'm like, oh god. But yeah, so Frankie was teaching me popping. We went, like there was workshops in Bristol happening, and we went together. So like I did my first house workshop, first locking workshop. Then Swindon, we each term would sort of change the styles. So popping, house, breaking, locking mainly, sometimes hip hop as well. Guest teachers coming and doing whacking, Chicago footwork, different things. So that was my like weekly in Swindon. Outside of that, I also got into Crump, and another reason why I started coming to London more often to train all the Wet Wipes guys. But then started falling out of love with Crump. Sometimes I'm still like, why? Like I remember there's a lot of politics happening, and it was sort of like if you didn't love Tight Eyes, you wouldn't be accepted, and if you did love him, then everyone would say you're just being the same. It was just this weird sort of
well, they had the same shit
thing,
with popping for a while, didn't they, with Boogaloo and G-Style and all that shit. So I feel like it happens with everything.
Yeah, but it sort of just made me go more popping wise. Then end of 2011 December was when Link did that week's course.
Okay. Where was that?
It was in London. Karina organized it, and it was a week, like every evening, 3-hour like hip hop workshop. I think I know the one you're talking about.
Was it out in Uxbridge? Was it that one?
Nah, I think that was
you know the one I'm talking about, right?
PhD.
Yeah, all right. It wasn't that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this was before. And so this was like my first time doing like hip hop party dances and being like, right, this is fucking like fun. This is what I want to do.
Sick.
And I was really inspired by Link as well. Like meeting him, seeing all his videos, was like, shit, like this is what I want to do. So now it was like I'm popping in hip hop were my main things. Then Link actually taught us some Litefeet in that. Okay. So like I knew of it, and he said like the kids in New York.
This is when 2011.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
December 2011. But like I wasn't at all wanting to be a Litefeet dancer.
Yeah,
I was
just
doing
like
hip hop.
taking it in.
Yeah. Then throughout the years, then I'd go to all of Link or Stretch's workshops when they're in town or in Europe. And again, like Stretch covered bits of Litefeet as well, and they had both told me to go to New York. And 2014, so just before this, Chi, he had gone and done a term in Paris.
Yeah.
And during his time there,
wasn't he in Lille?
Oh yeah, true, in Lille. But whilst in Paris, he met E Solo.
Okay.
E Solo is a Litefeet pioneer, second gen. And he then got some stuff from E Solo. So then he comes back to London. It's like, oh, I learned this, and this. So I'm stitching this together with the Litefeet bits I got from Link and Stretch.
But to use in your hip hop as opposed to.
Well, now I started to be a bit more interested. Now I was like, I've got all these bits from Litefeet, so I put them together. Again, like I was only doing hip hop and battling in hip hop. Then.
Well, I mean, there wasn't anything in Litefeet like before,
But I mean, I wasn't practicing like, oh, I'm going to practice Litefeet now. It was just like, I knew this stuff went together. But yeah, 2014, I was at Can You Rock Me in Poland. DJ plays Kid the Wiz and a little live beat.
Okay.
And I was like, oh yeah, Litefeet, right, I'll just do the Litefeet stuff I know. It was whack. Like you can see the battle on YouTube now, but like I put it up on my Instagram, #Litefeet. From there, Chris Alex, who's one of the Litefeet pioneers based in Florida. As in, like, he's not an OG in this actual dance style, but in Florida he is.
Right.
He then tagged Crybaby and was like, check this out. And then also E Solo, Richie Rich.
In a nice way or not a nice way?
Yeah, back then like everyone was super just nice. Like, so then,
I mean, they must have been like, find it cool that someone in Europe was.
That was literally it. So they were all then replying on my post like, you're doing Litefeet in Europe or Litefeet in the UK or yo, and then Cry was like, yo, let's build, bro. And
sick. Yeah, Cry seems like a positive guy in that way.
Yeah, so like
taking it as a good thing.
So then that inspired me as well. Like, so then I'm like, shit, these are real Litefeeters, and then I'm seeing all their videos. And E Solo had some tutorials online at the time.
And are these the guys that created the style, or how up the rank are they?
Crybaby's first generation. There's sort of like talks about who created it or not. Most people generally say AG created it. AG is Anthony Glover, aka the voice of Harlem.
Okay.
He's not a dancer himself. He's MC.
Right.
But he was the one getting people together, and he brought in the term getting light.
Right.
And his chants and things and ciphers were what everyone was then getting light in.
Right.
So if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be Litefeet, although he didn't create any of the dance.
Okay. It's kind of like a Cool Herc kind of figure.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, because you already had Harlem Shake, and then Tone Wop came, and then that stopped, and Aunt Jackie was there, and then that stopped. Like, these are all dances that were happening in New York, and the chicken noodle soup. And then as people mixed these up, you were getting light.
Yeah.
There was also something called getting crazy as well, and eventually it became Litefeet. So yeah, Crybaby was one of the first generation, one of the party goers. Then E Solo, Richie Rich, these guys came the generation after, which are the battling generation.
Okay.
So the first generation, like Cry and them,
similar to hip hop, right? Like how that just.
But
like it wasn't a battle style from the get.
Yeah. But I mean, it turned into it really quick in Litefeet because of the age gap. So Cry and them were old enough to go to the clubs, and they're partying and they're doing so they're just partying with the dance.
Yeah.
Whereas the younger generation, they obviously can't go to the clubs, but they were picking up this dance because that's what they were seeing being done. And then kids being kids became a bit more competitive, and the claps and the chants started. And then it became this whole sort of battle style, which then the older cats would then have to come to these events to sort of keep involved in a sense. So it became a weird battle style.
But I feel like that happened with hip hop here even, and I'm probably we're not the only country that it's like, and a lot of, I guess, our generation and above for the UK anyway are like often talk about like the dance of the style and the, you know, the parties and the blah blah blah, but it's kind of like these kids that are now turning 18 have been doing hip hop for like 6 years or something, and it's like when are they going to go to clubs to get this party vibe? So it's like it's natural that they're going to apply it in a different way than the people who were older. Even me, I was like in the middle, I find, of like between the people that like Clara and those guys are more like they discovered hip hop through parties. I discovered a bit of like battles and parties, and then all the younger guys are like, we can't go parties, so what do you want us to do? You know,
literally that's like the argument I used to give all the time for like Josh, for instance, when people be like, oh yeah, but he doesn't dance enough with it, and I'm like, he's 12.
It's a different
like, you can't go to a party yet. Like, and
then for me this is the whole thing of like the people talk about like, you know, like the evolution or like knowing where it comes from, and that you shouldn't necessarily like take it in too much of a new direction, and you should take the essence of the style, which is from the parties and stuff. But then I'm like, to do that, in order to do that, you kind of have to be fake. You know what I mean? It's like someone like Josh or any of these younger guys, like to be able to keep the essence of what hip hop is, you're asking them to do something fake that they've never experienced, and like, oh, just trust us, this is the feeling. And it's like, it's kind of a hard thing to ask someone to do.
I mean, I think there is ways it is more real, because some people have more of like that within their family, like more of the parties and culture. Like my family's not that type to let's put music on and we're all gonna dance. Like, but some people's families are like it, where it's where you can see, okay, it's more like they've had that chance to have it natural.
Fair enough. Where were we on the Litefeet?
So how I was getting into it, etc. Like, so that was me up until like 2014. Then 2015, I was like,
when was the first time you went to New York?
2016.
Okay.
So like during that period.
But you had already connected with them before you went.
Yeah, a couple years before. So I was doing all that I knew before I went out there.
And nobody gave you shit for like having been doing it without having gone and like learned from people?
Nah, not at all. Okay. They were pretty much also super gassed that someone from Europe was doing it. E-Solo, Crybaby, Richie Rich were all super welcoming, super helpful. Richie especially would talk to me all the time, and like I didn't really know who he was as such. Like I already knew E-Solo from his tutorials and Crybaby because everyone knew Crybaby, but Richie Rich was talking to me and showing me love and offering me advice.
This is just a nice guy.
And I'm
like,
my
friend.
Oh damn, like this guy's cool.
Yeah.
And then although we'd never met, it had been now like 2.5 years we've been in contact, and he's been asking me how Litefeet's going, etc. So I'd always planned when I graduated to go to New York to learn properly.
Yeah. From like when Link told you about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, well, not necessarily when Link told me about it, it was more just to go for hip hop.
Okay.
But then as 2014, 15, I'm into Litefeet. It was like, I'm going to go learn this thing.
Yeah.
And I think from that whole period when Elite Force were always coming to the UK, sort of how I came up, and with Cash and Conaha, we always wanted to be legit. We wanted to know all the foundations, this and this. So like because of that and
I remember
how they were
receiving the backlash of that.
Yeah, we were enemies.
Yeah.
Because of that, like I always had it in my head, like I need to learn legitly. I need to learn properly. So then, I graduate summer 2016. Hit up Richie like, yo, I'm coming out. Do you know where I can stay for cheap or this? And then he was like, yeah, you should be able to stay with me if this and this, and or I'll find you somewhere. And then literally, like he put me up in his house for a month, and
you'd never met before.
Never met before.
That's nice.
Yeah. So, and then here I am.
And then here you are. So with the going to New York and like learning from the guys, like how much? I mean, you can. This doesn't have to be about Litefeet, but like anything in general. What's your opinion on like how much of it is stuff that you couldn't learn online or that you didn't already know, as opposed to like doing it more for the credibility? of like having learned it from them, if you know what I mean?
I think with Litefeet, you really need to see it.
For example, you said eSolo had tutorials online.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like, do you feel like it was better getting it from there?
So within one day, I'd learned like 10 times what I knew.
In terms of what?
Like, so let's say before I went to New York, this was my Litefeet knowledge.
Yeah.
Within one day of it, I was already like here.
Is that like culturally or
both,
moves?
Like,
okay.
Culturally and like movement wise and knowing what's what. And simply because you can't get everything from a video.
Yeah.
But then going into teen night, seeing that like raw like vibe and like all of this is like
going into what, sorry?
Teen night is the spot in New York where everyone trains.
Okay, what is it?
It's literally a community center where on a Tuesday and a Thursday, Dr. Rich and Mr. YouTube open it up for all the Litefeeters to come in and train.
And this is like kind of where it was cultivated and
not cultivated, but where it is now.
Right?
Yeah. So like, what I say now, it's probably been like 10 years of cultivating it there, but like it wasn't the beginning. So yes, being there and seeing like the real, like you're just like, shit, like it was a big hit to the face. And then also Richie, eSolo, Keenan, Cry, they all sort of in their classes really went over stuff well, or like well enough for me to take a lot in. And I was like, damn, like I didn't know anything. And some
it's
of
like
the stuff,
seeing the stuff in context as well.
Yeah. And some of the stuff I'd got from like Stretch and from Link wasn't necessarily technically correct to how I was now being taught it. So like I had to readjust myself, which understandably that they're older guys who probably just saw the kids doing it and then they're sick dancers so their bodies can do that. Cool. They're doing it. But like different things aren't being done the same.
Right.
So I really think Litefeet's one of those where you need to get that essence. So we have a term called Spank.
Yeah.
King of Spank, aka Spaceman. He's the guy who really pushes that.
Okay.
He now he's taken me in like as Kings of Spank, one of his crew. But the term is sort of similar to funk or swag. Like you know in P-Lock, you're like, why is he better than this locker? Like he's just bare funky. Like it's sort of that term that like
indescribable.
Yeah, it's like
kind
that
of thing.
sort of essence that someone's got to their dance that you can't really.
Right.
So this Spank feel in Litefeet is like ease. They make it look easy in their own sort of stylistic way, which is not the step they did, but how they did it.
Okay.
And I really think
this is like stress to anyone trying to create a judging system.
yeah. But yeah, 100%, because there's so many times that our scene in Europe will think about me being, oh, you're here or you're there. And I'm like, nah, this guy would smoke me. And I show a video and they read it the other way around because I'm coming from here where we're much more clean or much more this. They read, no, you're better. But like from me seeing it more in Litefeet eyes, I'm like, no way, like this person would kill me. Like, so it's also like just an understanding thing as well. Like how we read anyone's like world or like.
But I do feel like in a lot of the styles in Europe we're a bit more, we have different values to say like Asia or America. Like it's developed in a kind of different way of like the technicalities over like the feeling and stuff like that. Obviously not true for everyone, but
but the point I was trying to say was so me going out there, I think it's for anyone, for Litefeet to really get that essence, you need to go out there and learn from those guys. And I think that is why the UK is so strong, because a lot of us went. I say us like I fucking went there, but us as in but like from the UK. After I went, the next trip I went out, I took a friend, right then I brought New Yorkers here, then we went back out there again, then I brought even more New Yorkers, and like now some people have said to me like, oh, Litefeet, is it from the UK? And I'm like, oh wow, like European people. Someone actually asked me that, like, I just see that stuff being done in London. I'm like, nah, like we got it from New York. But was it because one of the biggest? Are we like one of the original scenes of Litefeet in Europe? Like it's been in Poland, Switzerland, France, before like, us, all before like us. Okay, but either they haven't had the means to go back, or they haven't gone back and forth so many times. Right. So ours kind of go quicker. Yeah. Also, like, I don't want to sound like arrogant, but I was already at a level in my dance that when I went to New York and took the class, because the New Yorkers, they know themselves, they're not the best teachers yet, because most of them like have only started teaching since I've been going out there, like some of them weren't even teaching when I first went out there, so they're learning at the same time.
Yeah.
But I was in a level in my dance that I can see enough and understand what they're trying to give me to then be able to adapt, and they're like, cool, that's it.
Okay.
Because sometimes like you go to them and they'll be like, oh, let me teach you this, and like they just do it full out, and it's like,
right. So you could pick that up.
So like I was able to pick it up more than the average Joe would be able to, and I think that was also helpful, because then I was already teaching dance, I already could understand it. So when I came home and wanted to teach people, I could better than some other people might be able to.
Got ya. So that could help it like spread quicker.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I was going to ask something, I can't remember. So then when you now... Oh, no, yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I remembered. So, yeah, you said it's like was in a lot of European countries maybe before the UK. Without, you know, you probably won't... you'll probably be modest about this, but like how much credit do you take for the rise of like Litefeet in Europe? Like, do you feel like, even in the sense of like not you teaching it, but bringing over the New Yorkers and stuff, like do you feel like you were a big part of it? Do you feel like there's other people that were equally, because for me, like kind of on the outside, I'm like, and also being your friend, like I see a lot of the work you're doing, but I might not see other people. So
yeah, I do think I've had a big like impact on that, but I've never like been alone, like in the sense like, because I was established here and I'd done this, I'd done that, I knew my people, I knew my network, and I already ran events, and so I already had a big like trust, even for people I don't really know. They've been to my event, they knew it was sick, cool, I trust him, so that when I came back and was like, this guy from New York knows this, come to his class, like people already trusted me to come. So I think a lot of it's because of me, but because of other stuff, like not necessarily because I did it in a better way, just like I had good circumstances that people already knew and respected me to then listen to me when I'm like, hey, Litefeet's this thing, learn from him, I'm bringing him over, and then there's this one. And then also I think because of the language, I connect with a lot of the Americans easier than they might do with people in other countries. Right. So I've built like a lot of genuine friendships, and was like,
because you connect easier if you speak the same language.
How can we bring you here? How can we do this? And we would talk all the time, and then arranging these tours and getting them here, and then Lightfest, and so all these things, bringing them here, because that was first like part of it. But then after I'd bring them here, I would then send them into Europe. I knew these people were interested, but they couldn't afford to get someone from New York. So I'd be like, right, well, they're coming to UK at this time. Now you just pay from UK. Like,
right.
So, and then that's obviously made it spread again. There's the camps and things like Hyper Week, Dope Camp, and I'm in like all of these sort of camps that I already like was in touch with. Yeah. When they spoke to me about Litefeet, and either some of the New Yorkers couldn't do it, or they've been like, oh, thank you, we're booking blah blah. And I think that's again helped it spread a lot, because these camps, there's hundreds of people at each one, and like now someone like Mr. YouTube, I see how he's traveling, which is mad, because I was first going to New York, like he'd been nowhere, and when I first wanted him to come, so he was initially meant to judge last year's Lightfest, or 2 years ago now.
Really quick, explain Lightfest.
So Lightfest, I originally organized it as a fundraiser to bring Crybaby here. Okay.
Oh, really? Fuck, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Richie Rich was the first New Yorker to come to UK. I had one gig booked for him, which was a nice amount of money, but I couldn't afford to buy his flight. Okay. So he said that he was happy to pay his flight because he knew that this was paying it and more. Yeah. And then I would organize a tour for him. So we did that with Crybaby. Again, he's a generation above, and like, in a way, like I shouldn't expect him to buy his ticket. So I was like, right, how can I make this work? Cool. And I spoke to him, I'm going to do this event, get people to come, So I judged and taught at the event for free. Debo offered to play for free, because Debo, UK heads will know him already. Like, he's been around for a while, and he already plays Litefeet music. He's connected with the New York producers as well. Yeah. So yeah, he gets free music from them sometimes, and he's like, yeah, I'll do my bit. So he offered to play. Yuji, he's another guy into Litefeet here. Like, me and Yuji have both been like trying to push the scene here, like in our own ways, but he also it's offered to MC the event.
Oh, sick.
So then it was like cool, like got all this going on, and then people from overseas were like, there's a Litefeet thing in Europe. So it sort of blew up bigger than I expected.
Right.
And then I was like, I could make this an annual thing, like to get more of the New Yorkers out here. Like I'd love it to be like EBS or Illists, how they are for Crump. Like they're the events, even though it's not in Cali, like they're the events everyone's gonna be at. Like so I was like, cool, let's make that for Litefeet. So that's what Litefest is. And then now any of the sort of tours and things and smaller things I do within Litefeet, I also run it under the same brand.
Okay. And how long's that been going for altogether?
So we just did the third one.
Right. So the fourth one's coming this year.
Yeah. So and this year's the first one with the international qualifiers leading up to it.
Okay, cool. So and where are they? Do you want to promote any of them while we're here for my 4 listeners?
I mean, by the time they listen to this, I don't know when this is coming out because 2 of them are this month.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the 25th of January we're at Pop City doing a UK qualifier. 26th we're at JDS in Switzerland.
Cool.
Then in June we're in Italy, LA, and New York.
Shit.
And then September.
And all the winners are gonna get flown here.
The winners get flown to UK, and then the finals are in September.
That's sick. 3 years, you said.
Yeah.
It's not bad, like for 3 years growth. Sick.
Yeah.
Nice. And so, what you were saying about the going to New York and there's stuff that you can't get, like from videos and stuff like that. How do you feel about? Because I mean, from my perspective, like. I feel like I know the dance scene, but stuff like Litefeet, I don't know the whole. I'm not so in their culture, but I'm around the dance scene in the UK to know it a bit. But like, I see there's a lot. It's become like a bit of a phenomenon now, and like a lot of kids are doing it. Like all the dance schools, like competitions like UDO and all these ones. Like everyone loves Litefeet, which is sick because it's like, I think it could have been. My personal opinion on it is like it would have been very easy for you to. Almost be bitter about it and be like, don't do Litefeet unless you learn from me, and you know what I mean, like this kind of thing, and like almost want to kind of control it to be like, no, I'm the Litefeet guy, and you know, whereas I feel like you're more like, everybody enjoy this cool thing like found, you know, or whatever, which is cool. But then with a lot of like kids and stuff, how much of it does it annoy you, or like how much people are doing it, and maybe not all of them are learning it properly or understanding the culture.
In terms of all the kids doing it, I flipping love it.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for all these kids doing it, it probably wouldn't be where it is in the UK because
level wise.
No, just in terms of being able to do stuff. So having 20 kids from this dance school come to this workshop means that the workshop makes more money, so then I can do more next time. So like having these kids and the kids I've built with, like Empire K-Fam, like all of those kids are from dance schools.
Okay.
Majority of Empire come from Take One. This has been like a legit school forever, like doing all the different street dance styles. But some of the other dance schools are much more sort of UDO, IDO, BDO based, where they do the street dance styles, but not necessarily for the kid to become that street dancer, but so that they can put it in their team and then make it big, like in the competition.
Yeah.
So then these kids getting into Litefeet, it's like I've been able to be like, right, okay, now push this, now do this, now come and do this, research this guy. And these kids are doing it, and they've. So I think. So
kind of from allowing them to toy around with it and maybe do it a bit wrong or just try it out, then they can kind of you find the ones that actually want to.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also made the rest of the world look like, oh shit, it's a thing. And then what's been really amazing to see is it sort of whether they think it or not, they may disagree, but New York's sort of been re-inspired because of this.
Right.
Because when I was first going to New York in teen night. It would be dead. Like sometimes the session would be like 5 people.
Right.
Sometimes sessions would be busier, but then after the first international and it was blowing up, now international people are coming, it was packed. And then I'm seeing all the footage from like being back in London. I'm seeing like 50 people in the room. Like, fuck, why wasn't it like that when I was there? And then some of my favorite Litefeet dancers who weren't really battling so much or dancing anymore, all of a sudden now like Keenan, Fly Boogie, Hype Star, they're all back and they're battling 40 pounds, and I'm like, fuck, like now I'm super inspired, and now like all the people I want to see doing more are back and they're doing more. And then other OGs who may have dropped off, they're looking back into it now and putting back in.
Do you think it's like a competitive thing where they're like,
not
Europe are doing our
even,
shit? Like,
not even competitive. I think it's just like they've been putting in the work for decades and no one's cared.
Right.
And for some of them, it's still fun. It's still what they do. But at the same time, New York life is hard. Like for them to make it as a dancer is much more difficult than it is for us.
Yeah.
And so they do other things. They don't give time to it. And for them to then see, actually, our thing's been done over there. Like they're recognizing what we do.
Right.
Like I see it in that sense. That then they're like, fuck, well, I can carry on and do it. Like if they're getting messages from some random 6-year-old in Scotland. They're like, fuck, like, okay, I'm gonna
hold more importance to the thing. And also I guess the more events and the more things that pop up, the more it creates opportunities for them to do their thing and also to like work or get seen.
Oh yes, again, like what I was saying, like Mr. YouTube, he was meant to come to 2018's Lightfest, and there was a passport thing in the end, so he didn't make it. But like he was there like, I've not flown by myself before, like trying to figure out if he's gonna make it or not, or if he can fly with someone else. And then so he didn't make it to Lightfest, but then Dope Camp, where I've been to teach before, and I've also like suggested other people, they were then wanting Crybaby Cozy.
Sick.
Cry's already doing his thing, traveling internationally a lot, and you get some of the Team Rocket guys and Jay Black, but Mr. YouTube again still hadn't. And I'm like, Mr. YouTube can do it, like.
Yeah.
And then next minute, like after him teaching that class, everyone wants him. Like all of Eastern Europe are booking him. So he's gone to Estonia, he's gone to Russia, he's gone here, there, and then he's gone into China now. Like, and it's just mad. When I first met him, he wasn't even teaching.
Even in New York.
Yeah, even in New York. Like he'd run the session and he would teach people at the session, but he didn't necessarily have a class. So yeah, like now they've got a means to make it as a dancer.
Sick. That's pretty cool. And what's the like at this point? What do you do? Like, do you go like, my work is done kind of thing, and like everything's going fine, or is there more stuff that you're like, but I need to make sure this happens, like in terms of the growth of the style and stuff?
So a bit of both really, because for instance, Miss YouTube did a tour in November and he came into UK, and it wasn't through me, and someone actually hit me up like, like I can't believe they're doing this, are you okay with that? I'm like, I'm in Australia, like I can't do this one, but like that's fucking sick. Like
right.
Like it doesn't, I don't want to be like, this is my thing that I control. Like Miss YouTube is going to be teaching all these people in the UK. Like that's all I want. Like for me, when I first came back from New York, the most like uninspiring thing was having no one to train it with. So I would literally hit up Dennis, Yuji and Jules.
I remember Dennis is a friend of mine. I remember him showing me Litefeet videos. I think around it because it was at Charing Cross times.
Yeah.
When Charing Cross was like our place to go and train, and I wasn't really into it. I don't know why, just something didn't catch me about it. But he was like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah," and like, "I'm gonna go and like train this. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Nah." Not that I don't like the style. It's just like there's some things that aren't for me, you know. But yeah, I don't remember when that was, but I do remember that was the first time I'd heard of Litefeet. Like Dennis sent me a few videos, and I was like, oh, how come they're battling facing the camera instead of each other? But yeah, and then after that I was like, oh shit, this thing is like blown up. But yeah.
So like in a sense, like I love being able to sit back and shit's happening.
Okay.
And like my friends in Europe, so the Litefeet community, although it is exploding, the community is still small. Like there's lots of people trying Litefeet and doing bits within their dance, but not many who are like
specialists
investing. I'm gonna be a Litefeet dancer.
Well, also I guess that's because you can apply Litefeet to hip hop, and hip hop freestyle is quite a big thing. So like for a lot of the hip hop dancers I've seen, like they'll add a bit of Litefeet, but then they're not going to stop what they're doing, especially where the opportunities are less. Like how many dedicated battles are there to Litefeet in Europe? Like a couple. Like, so I guess the events and the opportunities to practice it will have to grow before people like take time out of, you know, the 27 hip hop battles a week that there are to specialize in that, I guess.
But I've had like my friends in other countries hit me up like, oh, I'm organizing this tour. I'm bringing Cry to my country, or I want to bring blah blah to my country. Like, can you help me? Like, or what did you do? And it's really nice just to be able to sit back, give the advice or what I did. Like, this is how it worked here and what I did and da, and then they can do it and then it works. And so that's really nice to see. And then
just on a side point, like you're saying it's a small culture, but I mean, you just got back from teaching in Australia. So like that's like spread like both sides of the world. Like
yeah.
That's not just Europe and stuff. Is it kicking off in Asia?
Yeah. So Japan had it first after New York.
Oh really?
So it's been in Japan. Sort of XYZ Boys first got in touch with the New Yorkers, I think 2011. Originally because they wanted to know Harlem Shake.
Okay.
And then they started going back and forth, and then for years have been going back and forth. So that's Jumi, Asa, and Kento. Jumi's really the main guy. You still see pushing it a lot all in Tokyo. Asa's out in Matsumoto. Kento I don't see so much of, and I've not met Kento yet. But yeah, they've had it since then. Like Japan's always on it first. Like,
so it's kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, but it's more like it's widespread as opposed to the density of people that are doing it. Right.
Yeah. Like, yeah, most countries I know of, there's a couple of people at least. It's just they don't all have scenes.
Yeah.
The only Litefeet scenes I would say is New York, Japan, UK.
Right.
France, there's a bigger community, but there's a bit of like a divide.
Okay.
But actually, no. Then again, like they have got, you could say they've got a scene now. Like, yeah, it's grown. Where was I? I was gonna.
Sorry.
We're jumping between things to things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the other parts, like I said, part of it is the sitting back, and the other part's what I'm going to do next. So, for instance, now Litefeet is exploding everywhere. One of the things which is like a real pet peeve is like the Harlem Shake.
Okay.
People aren't understanding it. They see Litefeeters do the Harlem Shake, and then they just do that with their shoulders and then lock in, and they think that that's what Litefeet is.
Yeah.
Whereas like Harlem Shake is its own dance style.
Okay.
It was a big thing before Litefeet.
Is it also a move? Like that you can do?
Not that it's a move, but like you can do that style within Litefeet.
Got you.
Because it's more than a move.
If you had to like draw a comparison to
waving.
Okay. All right, I didn't know that.
So like you can get a dancer.
So you could do a wave, but it's more of a style of.
Some poppers use animation. Some dancers they just do animation. Some b-boys are just power heads. Some b-boys use power in their breaking. Like it's
so you
like
can use
that.
your Harlem Shake in your Litefeet, or you could just do Harlem.
Yeah, like there's just shaking battles as well as there being like Litefeeters who do have dope ass shakes.
Okay, and that has its own set of.
Yeah, so shaking, like they don't lock in on the and 8. They do things called a pop on the 8.
Okay.
And it was its own thing before. It's just it sort of died out. When Litefeet came back and it brought the same sort of energy back, you saw like the revival of Harlem Shake.
Right.
And now there are again just shake dancers, but there are also the Litefeeters use it within their dance.
Yeah.
So
you said it's a pet peeve of yours.
So the pet peeve of mine is that Europe mainly like don't know the Harlem Shake, but you'll see so many people do it, and like even some are like dancers that I love, and then I'll see them do like some dead Harlem Shake, and then it's like awkward because where are they going to see the real Harlem Shake? Because these dancers aren't out. Like Litefeet's gone viral, and you'll see a little bit of Harlem Shake within it, but then you don't get to see the real Harlem Shakers go out.
Right.
So like I'm like, it makes sense. They're not getting to see real Harlem Shake, so they think that's it. But then I go back to New York and I see like K-Shakes, Tweak, and these guys, and I'm like, fuck, man, like Europe needs to get on it. So like, so the next Light Fest, actually I've not told any, like I haven't said it publicly.
Premiering.
It's only the friends that know.
World premiere, guys.
The plan is if I can get the money together that I also bring over a Harlem Shaker who's going to teach some workshops.
Sick.
And maybe we'll have like a small competition for Harlem Shake as well.
Dope.
Yeah. Sort of like how at a breaking event you could have on the side a power battle or a footwork battle, like that.
Sick. All right. One thing I was going to ask you actually is like, I mean, I don't want to go on too long, but when people do, because we talk about a lot, like hip hop dancers will include Litefeet in their hip hop, and I know that like Litefeet is kind of like underneath the umbrella of hip hop styles, so it's like you can include Litefeet in hip hop in that way, kind of thing, because it sits in it has similar foundations or similar kind of rules and structure, I guess.
Yeah.
But my thing is that, and I mean, it's been a while since I've judged anything, but for judges or for people kind of battling with Litefeet or against Litefeet, it's like, do you feel that if I'm going to use Litefeet in my hip hop, not me, the general me, do I necessarily need to stick to the rules of Litefeet if I'm doing it in a hip hop battle? Because I see a lot of people do Litefeet in a hip hop battle, but then people will cuss the Litefeet technique in the hip hop battle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like if I was to include creatively like a bit of popping in my hip hop, I don't need to follow popping foundations necessarily. Do you know what I mean? Because it's an effect that I'm taking from somewhere else. I don't have to do perfect footwork if I'm going to do breaking in my hip hop. It's just I've took the style.
Yeah. I think, again, it's a yes and no thing because, for instance, in hip hop, a lot of us add hits to our dance, but we can all see if someone can actually hit or if they can't.
Yeah.
So like,
but that doesn't affect our judging decisions in hip hop.
Like yes or no. Like, when I'm judging, one of my things is like foundation and technique.
Yeah.
So if they want to show that thing, like someone hitting a dead freeze in a hip hop battle, like I'm still gonna be like, yeah, you did a freeze, but it was
but that's a bit more like you might fall over or something. You know what I mean? Like if you like, for example, if I was to do like a walkout, which is like a pop-in move I'm explaining for the podcast, not for you. If I was to do a walkout in hip hop, I don't believe I don't have to do it correct in the sense of how the Boogaloos would do it, because it's in hip hop. So I can do it kind of in any way. And it's like, oh yeah, we know that, he's doing a walkout, but because we're judging it on hip hop foundations, it's like, but did the walkout have a bounce? Was it on the beat? How did he use the walkout in that way? And that's how I would judge the foundation of that particular move. So say with Litefeet is like the rev up or something is like one that I swear everybody knows, even if they haven't been taught it. Do you know what I mean? Like they just pick that up. But it's like, if that was offbeat for Litefeet or done in the wrong way for Litefeet, but it still fit under the hip hop foundations, would you penalize someone for that in a battle if you're judging?
Like personally, yeah.
Okay.
Because I think like if you're going to use something, you should know it. And it's different to be able, you can see if someone's maturely made the decision to use it because of the song and like they're changing the beat because of that, or if they've seen it and they're going to chuck it in their dance. And I think, like, for instance, if I'm doing the Bismarcky and I'm going from normal like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I want to change to and 1, and then the next one's going to be really slow. Like, you can see that I know it and I'm making that decision, rather than when someone doesn't know it and they're just chucking something in. So I'd like, for even light viewers will change the time of the rev up, but no one's like, oh, that was wrong. Like, because you can see they know it. It's
like a decision to variate it.
Yeah.
Is that word?
Because like, for instance, the big ones are lock-in. In Litefeet, that's the and 8. Like, yeah, you'll see Litefeeters and 2 and 4 and 6 and 8, depending on how they're building their round, and maybe a fake out or things like that. Or you'll see some Litefeeters, if they know the track's gonna then have something on the 1, maybe they will lock in on the 1.
Right.
But again, it's that decision. Like, you can see they've purposely done that. Like, whereas when you see a dancer that doesn't really understand it and they're just locking in because they see that that's the in move to do at the moment and it's offbeat, then it's like, yeah, okay. For me, it's like clapping. Like, we know we clap on 2, 4, 6, 8, but when you see that dancer in the crowd who's getting gas and they start clapping 1, 3, like, you're just like, it's
Fair
just
enough.
off.
Okay. Interesting. I'm not sure I agree, but not from a Litefeet standpoint, but from a
now
hip-hop.
on, you're never entering an event I judge.
Or I'm just going to enter everything and do Litefeet wrong and just to piss you off. No, yeah, just for me, because I'm like, it depends how for me, it's like the style that, and this has always pissed me off with in different contexts, but like, I think that for not that I'm saying you're wrong, just my opinion is like the way, the umbrella that you've, like the style that you've entered or whatever, that's the defining rules that you should go by, kind of thing. So no matter what those outside influences are, like, to make a completely fucking extreme example is like, if I such an extreme example, if I took out a book and started doing my taxes in the middle of a hip hop battle, right? You'd go, oh, but he's stopped dancing, he's not doing the bounce, he's not doing this. You wouldn't go, but did he do his taxes right? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like and like I said, it's completely different when it's a dance style, but for me, it's like, okay, but I would judge under the umbrella. So no matter what you do, I can say, oh, it's like, you're being influenced by popping, breaking, ballet, whatever. Like, there's a lot of people that will do stuff in like popping, like I don't know her name, girl from Holland that does like, she has a whole set of like ballet moves. I battled her at Jack of All Trades. Jen, what's her name? Tawata? You know the girl? She has a whole set of like ballet stuff, but it's like we're not looking at it going, oh, but your ballet technique is like, I don't even know, but most of the time we're like, oh, but does it fit under the popping stuff, and we're judging it by that. So that's how I come at the Litefeet thing of like,
I get that, but then the hard issue is like, but within the hip hop category, the Litefeet is still hip hop.
Yeah, that's
like,
what makes it a bit of a blurred.
Like, yeah, exactly.
I guess if you're doing popping and you did waving, you'd be judged on the waving, even though it's kind of like a subcategory of popping. You'd still be judged on the waving technique.
Yeah.
I don't know where I stand anymore.
Because like, like things like threading and tic-tac-toes, like your thread, you should make the thread, and if you're going to jump for your leg, you should make that and not break.
Does threading come from breaking? Is that like where that was invented?
The influence.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably done before, like, you know, those old like 1920s footage you see of like some guy spinning on his back and then it shows the b-boy. Like, I feel like needle and thread is probably done before.
Okay.
But I know in New York, the Litefeet took stuff from breaking, and it's just become a thing in Litefeet. And tic-tac-toe is like, you should make the connection of your hand hitting your foot or your elbow and your knee. Like, so when people do these things in their hip hop dance and they're not making these connections, or they break the thread, etc., like, I'm not gonna count it as if I would if you did do it. And I think one of the other things is someone's dance, generally you should enjoy it and it should make you want to dance. Like, you're like, unless you're seeing some sort of more artistic piece, like in hip hop, it should make you want to dance generally. Like, I'm trying to think, is there anyone that I've watched and I'm just like, but they're really good, but I don't want to dance.
I don't know. I get that. There's some dances that like make me want to join it, and I think it depends on the use of foundations and stuff. Because like some dances are more performative, I find.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of good dancers who I'll just sit and be like, whoa. But then there's also some that maybe aren't as good, but I'll be like into the feeling behind it and stuff. So
yeah,
I don't know if that helps.
But like you're not put off. Is what I mean. Whereas like when
it doesn't feel
when I see
or...
someone like locking off beat, or they've not really got that thing, then I'm like, oh.
So I can't remember who said it, but I heard someone talking about popping, and they were saying that, or it was like someone told me that someone said, or, you know, them rumors, this might not even fucking be true, but that like with the hit in popping, they were saying their opinion is that it doesn't matter how clean the technique is, as long as you like pull off the desired effect with the hit. Controversial maybe, but do you feel like that with Litefeet, that okay, maybe they locked in on the wrong beat, or maybe they whatever, but if they chose a mature way of like creating the right effect, and maybe, you know, like you said, in the Litefeeters might do this on like a different beat but for something in the song or whatever, so would that kind of make you feel a bit more like, oh, all right, yeah, it wasn't quite the right thing, but you killed it in the way you did it and you created the right effect?
I guess so. Like I've seen it like 3 or 4 times now, like when a b-boy is against a Litefeeter, they'll end their headspin drill, get up and do a lock-in. Right. And it'll be off beat, but I'm like, right, I'll give you props because you replied to the Litefeeter. Like,
right. So if it creates the right effect or the right moment, then it's more acceptable, I guess. Fair enough. I mean...
But again, like, this is just us.
Yeah.
Like, people listening or watching, like, for them to go out and be like, oh, but they've said this, like, this is just us.
Yeah.
It's going to get judged completely different. And especially that's one of the main things that's difficult in Europe and Asia. Judges don't know Litefeet.
Yeah.
There's very few judges who, they might be aware of it now. They might know its name. They might have met me or one of the other New Yorkers when they've been in town. But there's very few who've actually gone like, I'm going to learn more about this so I can judge it.
Yeah.
Which is, you don't have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
I mean, to be honest, I had that concern of like, it's been a while since I've judged anything, but it kind of crossed my mind of when Litefeet started to become more in the hip hop culture, that was like, if I ever judge something, how much do I need to know of Litefeet now that it's part of it's almost like we have to go back and retrain ourselves. Because if you weren't at like I started way before Litefeet came to Europe, like I started doing hip hop, and you know, whether or not you think I should be judging anything is a separate thing. But like, I got to a point of like, okay, I feel like I know enough to judge people or to like deal with a call out if I have to, kind of thing. which is my criteria for judging. Like, am I going to get smoked at this event if I judge? No. All right, I'll judge it. But the thing is, it's like, yeah, if a new style comes in, it's like, should we, go back and relearn? Because even like, I'd say you're one of my good friends and we spend a lot of time together around each other, and I know hardly anything about Litefeet. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, if you're someone that doesn't have a close friend who's super into Litefeet, and you're not going out of your way to learn the shit, then you're not really going to be able to just pick it up.
And I think it's fine to judge. You don't have to know it to judge. Right.
Standard hip hop battles.
Yeah, you need to know if you're going to judge it, but to judge hip hop or an all style event, you don't need to know it.
Okay.
Because when you judge an all style event, you don't know all styles.
Well, yeah,
but
that's true.
you know movement enough that you can judge the movement as a dancer.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine like that.
Yeah. And I think for me that comes under the thing of what I was saying about you judge it by the style.
Yeah.
So I know hip hop and I know the structure and I know the rhythms of hip hop. So even if you're doing Litefeet in that, I'm like, okay, I recognize that this is from another style, or like another thing under the umbrella, but I'm judging it based on my knowledge of hip hop. And so if you're on beat and you're doing this, plus a few things you've taught me, like the and 8 kind of thing, I'm like, cool, I can kind of recognize how that fits in.
Yeah.
Again, saying that I haven't judged anything in a while, so it doesn't matter, but so it's irrelevant. But yeah, fair enough. Cool. Anything else you wanted to discuss on the mic while we're here? Anything else you wanted to tell the world?
Ooh.
You wanna make a proposal to your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Awkward.
I love
edit that out.
Marriage isn't for me. All right, Tia, if you're watching, listening, whatever, when Frankie, Joel, and Cam are all married, I'll consider it. Find the camera lady. Why are you laughing?
That's awkward. And I mean, like, to be honest, if no one reacts to that means they got bored of you and didn't listen this long.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I'd be like, Tia, did you watch the podcast?
She's like, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, loved it. I'm like, anything you wanted to talk about? And she's like, no, really good.
Sick.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for being my first guest. Hopefully not my last guest. We shall see how well this goes. Yeah. But yeah, appreciate it, man.
If anyone does want to let me know in the comments if you prefer me over Luke, then I'll just come back and it'll be me.
Yeah, people, he'll come to my house with my setup and I'll just be the producer for him.
Yeah, you can rub my back while I give
deleting this from the book. All right, cool. Thanks, man.